This is Kay with Craniac K Designs, and today I'm going to show you a quick tutorial to make a simple cutout card in Inkscape to cut with a cutting program. So to get started, I found a sunflower image on the internet that was free and didn't require attribution. So I'm going to use this sunflower to turn it into something that I can cut out of a card. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to create a rectangle. I don't want it green, I just want it white to represent a white piece of cardstock. I'm going to set my dimensions. Let's say this is going to be a 5x7 card with a top fold. So my width is going to be 7, and my height is going to be 10 in inches. So now we have our card. Now halfway through, we need to put a score line. So what I'm going to do is enable snapping for a second and come close to the edge here. And I'm going to hold Control and snap to the other edge and double click. Now I've created a line, and I'm going to take snapping back off because I don't need that right now. I'm going to select this line and this rectangle. I'm going to go to the Object menu to Align and Distribute, and I can go to Last Selected and Center on the horizontal axis. So now this line, and I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see it. This line I'm going to leave as a line right now, and when I upload this into Design Space, I will need to select this line and turn it into a score line in Design Space, because there's no way to indicate in Inkscape that this is a score line. So what I'm going to do to make sure I remember, because this is a stroke, I want to select a stroke color. So I press Shift when I'm clicking one of these, and then that turns that line red. So remember, red line, stroke line. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom back out. So basically, this is where the fold is going to be on our card, and we've got the 5x7. This will be the back of the card, and this will be the front of the card. So I want to put a sunflower and cut it out of this card. So what I'm going to do now with this image is I can't cut it out of this, page up, I can't cut it out of this as an image. You can't really work with images in Inkscape and have them interact with other parts of your design, at least not for the purposes of cutting or creating cut files. So what I'm going to do is select this image, and you'll know it's an image if you look at this bar at the bottom. It tells you it's an image, what the dimensions are, etc. Now I want to go to Path, Trace Bitmap. Now this is my preview of my image. I just want a single scan because I just kind of want the outline, the black line. I don't really need all of the brown and the, the variation in the petals. But if I did, I would go to multiple scans and colors, and then I could adjust for the number of colors and update. So that right there would give me 4 different colors, 3 different colors, which I wouldn't want. Anyway, single scan, that's what we're going to do. And this thread, I want the inside to still be lighter. Like I want the inside to be white. So I'm going to decrease the brightness threshold here. Let's try that. Okay, so now it still recognizes a little bit of that brown. So let's try 0.2. And let's see if we can get it any better. There. So now it's just showing us basically the black line, because that's all I want for this particular sunflower. So it's a pretty clean PNG, and we'll zoom in and I'll show you what I mean. See how there's not a lot of jagged edges there, even when I'm fairly zoomed in, which indicates that it's pretty decent quality PNG image. So basically, back to my tracing of a bitmap, I'm going to hit OK. It's going to do its thing. And then I can go back to my flower. Let's close that out of the way. So this now, this is my original image. If I click on it, you can see it's obviously the image. And this is now a path with 854 nodes. Nodes are little blips that represent where an image is going to be cut. Now, this looks a little bit choppy, and maybe you won't be able to see it unless I zoom right in, but see how it's kind of like pointy and there's not smooth nodes? I don't like that. So I'm going to try again, and I'll show you what I'm going to do differently this time. So let's go back to trace bitmap. And the good thing about tracing bitmaps is, you can play around with the settings and determine what is going to work best for your particular image, because it's never going to be the same. Each image is so different. So the good thing is that you can continue to trace using trying different thresholds, trying different, whether you want to smooth or decrease the speckles, depending on how complicated your image is. So what I'm going to do for this scan, now it's not going to show me the difference on the update because it's just too tiny to really be able to show. So if I create it again, move it off. So now, if I zoom in, as you can see, I don't have those harsh kind of corners anymore. They are now smoothed out because I selected smooth corners. So this is now going to be a good sunflower that we can use on our card to cut out of our, or to create our cutout. So now what I want to do is delete the image because we're not going to work with that anymore. Now, this is basically like an image that's a coloring page now, right? Now, in order to cut this out of our cardstock, what we want to do is get all of these other little pieces that are here. So that all of these pieces, the insides of the petals, for example, and the center of the flower are going to be what's cut out. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this. And I want to make it a different color. Let's make it yellow because it's a sunflower. Okay, let's pick a more sunflower color. There we go. Yeah, okay. So now what I want to do is go to path. Wait, before I do that, want to drop my opacity down to about 50%. So now I can see the black underneath. It's not that I changed this to like gold or anything. It's just that the black is underneath. Okay, so what I'm going to do now with this yellow selected, and I know that I have the yellow selected because it's showing me the yellow fill down here. So I'm going to go to Path, Break Apart. Now I'm going to leave all of those pieces as they are, but what I'm going to do is come out and click the very edge. And now you can see what I've gotten rid of, or what I've moved out of the way, is this outer edge. And all of these pieces are all individual, but those are now going to become my stencil. So I'm going to click on this and click Alt, and that grabs the black layer, which you can see. So let's just move that out of the way. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is take this part, and I'm going to Path Union. And let's bring the opacity back up so we can see what this actually looks like. So now I have white peeking around all of these little pieces. So if I difference this now out of my card, sorry, I'm all over the place here. All these little pieces will be cut out and the card will still stay together. Whereas if I tried to cut this out of the card, all of these little petals, they would just fall out, right? Because they just wouldn't have anything to attach to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's say this is going to be a simple card. So all I want to do, Object, Align and Distribute, and let's put that in the center. Align and Distribute. So there, now it is in the center of this card. And maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. And now I won't be able to center this vertically, because if I try to do that, it's going to put it in the middle of our score line, and we don't want that. So now that I have this lined up here, I'm going to select my flower, select my rectangle by holding Shift and clicking on the rectangle. Now you can see that I have two objects selected down here in the status bar. One is the path, aka our sunflower, and one is the rectangle, aka our white cardstock. Now if I go up to Path, I can difference. And now you can see that this is a hole in the cardstock, and I can see the pink background underneath. And so what you can do when you save this file and send it to Design Space is let's duplicate this and make it yellow with 100% opacity, and a page down. Right. I want to, let's just pretend this is a yellow piece of paper underneath here, and I want to so if I was to cut this white out of cardstock and then put a little 5x7 piece of yellow paper, then as you can see, my card, very simple. And this I can just delete, and as I save this file, I don't need that there because that I can just cut out of, cut by hand or, with a paper cutter, or, if I do want to cut that out of a white sheet of paper, then I would keep that there to cut it. So again, this is a really simple cutout card. I will show you a more advanced cutout card in the next tutorial. Thanks.